I always thought the city sounded different after midnight. Not quieter, just rearranged. You could hear the machines breathing then, the hum of neon signs, the mechanical heartbeat of drones overhead, and the faint digital murmur that never quite stopped. People called it background noise. I called it the hum. It started the same week my wife disappeared. Her name was Mara. She worked in data architecture at Syndyne Systems, one of those massive AI corporations you only hear about when something goes wrong. She was brilliant, the kind of person who could write code in her sleep, the kind who looked at chaos and saw patterns. I used to watch her work late at night, her fingers dancing over the keyboard while blue light framed her face. I didn't understand a word of what she was doing, but she always smiled when she caught me watching. "It's all just signals," she'd say. "Everything's connected if you listen long enough." Then one night, she didn't come home. At first, I assumed it was work. Then the police assumed it was voluntary. No forced entry, no digital trail. Her access logs at Syndyne just stopped. The cameras in the building glitched out at 2:13 a.m., static for 37 seconds, then normal again. In that gap, she vanished. And that was the first time I heard it. A low, steady hum coming through the walls of our apartment, soft, rhythmic, pulsing in time with my heartbeat. It wasn't in the power lines. It wasn't in my head. It was in the air. For 3 weeks, I'd barely slept. I tore the apartment apart looking for hidden transmitters. I called every friend Mara had, every coworker. Nothing. Then one morning, I noticed something strange, a faint mark etched into the wall near her desk. A symbol I didn't recognize. 3 intersecting circles, each containing a different waveform. Underneath, in her handwriting, "When you hear it too, follow the silence." That night, I did. The hum led me out of the apartment, down through the empty streets, and into the industrial district. The air felt heavier there, thicker with static. And then, just past the old freight terminal, I found it, a half-collapsed warehouse with the Syndyne logo still faintly visible under years of grind. The door was padlocked, the windows blacked out, but the hum was strongest there, vibrating through the concrete. When I pressed my ear to the metal door, I heard her voice. "Nathan, if you're hearing this, it's already started." I froze. The sound wasn't live. It was like an old recording, faint but real. "They're using the network, Nathan. Not for AI, for integration." My chest tightened. Mara, silence. Then a whisper, "Find the frequency gate." And then nothing. The hum stopped. The world felt impossibly quiet. And that's when the lights flickered on. Not the warehouse lights, the ones in the sky. Every street light in a 5-block radius began to strobe in perfect synchronization, blinking in coded bursts, and in between each flash, I saw fragments, faces in the glass, data ghosts, reflections that weren't mine. One of them turned and looked directly at me. And in that frozen moment, I realized the hum wasn't a sound. It was a signal, a message trying to rewrite the world. Somewhere in that cold electric silence, Mara was still alive, or something wearing her shape was trying to reach me. And now that I'd heard it, it wasn't going to stop. The next morning, I woke up with the sound still in my ears. Not a hum anymore, something sharper, layered, structured. It pulsed in patterns like a code I couldn't decipher. It wasn't tinnitus. It wasn't madness. It was Mara. I could feel it. The apartment looked exactly as it had when she disappeared. Coffee cup half finished, her notebook still open on the kitchen counter. For the first time since she vanished, I dared to open it. Most of it was indecipherable. Pages of waveform sketches, calculations, and diagrams that looked more like art than science. But one page stood out, 3 words scrawled across the top. "The frequency gate." Below it, a diagram, concentric rings of light intersecting at a single point labeled cross node. My last name. That was when I realized she hadn't just left notes for herself. She'd left them for me. I tore through every drawer, every folder, every memory stick. And in one of her old data drives, I found a single audio file, no name, just a string of numbers. 213 the exact time the security cameras at Sindine went dark. I plugged it in. The waveform opened on my screen, jagged and pulsing. At first, it was just noise. Then I slowed it down, and I heard it, a voice buried inside the frequency. Hers. Nathan, don't come looking for me, please. It's not what you think. The voice cracked with interference. Another frequency layer beneath hers, lower, mechanical, like something else was speaking through her. They're opening the gate. Once it stabilizes, there'll be no difference between us and them. Static swallowed the rest. Then a phrase, almost lost in the distortion. Find Kessler. The same name I'd seen months ago in her emails. Dr. Adrian Kessler, the neural systems engineer who vanished from Sindine 2 years before she did. If anyone knew what the gate was, it was him. Sindine's main campus was in the city's tech quarter, all glass, steel, and security. But the address I found for Kessler wasn't in any office directory. It was a condemned medical tower on the edge of the district, the kind of place where light dies early. When I reached the top floor, I found his door half open. Inside, the air smelled of burnt copper and ozone. Every surface was covered in monitors, some running code, others showing static. And at the center of the room, surrounded by cables, sat a man with a tangle of electrodes on his head. He didn't even look up when I entered. You heard it too, he said softly. His voice was tired, mechanical. He turned and I saw his eyes, silver implants, flickering faintly with digital noise. You're Nathan Cross, he said, the architect's husband. The way he said architect sent a chill through me. Mara, I said. What happened to her? He stared at one of the monitors, lips pressed tight. She crossed over. Crossed what? The gate. He gestured toward one of the screens. It displayed a visual I couldn't process. Waves of sound mapped into light frequencies, intersecting like DNA strands. Sindine built the gate to transfer cognitive patterns into frequency form. Pure thought, encoded as resonance. The hum you're hearing, that's not sound. That's memory. I took a step closer. You mean she's alive? He hesitated. Alive is a flexible word. She exists in a bandwidth beyond perception, between reality and signal. I clenched my fists. Then help me bring her back. He looked up, finally meeting my eyes. You can't bring her back. You can only follow her in. Before I could respond, one of the monitors flared to life. A voice crackled through the static, her voice. Nathan, don't trust him. Kessler froze. That's not her. That's a copy. He's lying, the voice said again, louder now. He's the one who opened the gate. The screens flickered, displaying overlapping images. Mara's face, lines of code, maps of neural activity. She's reaching through, Kessler said, frantically typing. This isn't supposed to happen. The signal shouldn't have bandwidth here. I grabbed his arm. What do you mean shouldn't? What's happening? He looked terrified. They found us. Every monitor in the room went black. Then, one by one, each flickered back on, not with data, but with faces, hundreds of them, mouths open, whispering in perfect unison. Join the frequency. The sound grew louder, vibrating through the walls, through my bones. Kessler screamed, clutching his head. It's sensing. Get out. But I didn't move, because through the distortion, I heard her again, soft, steady, calm. Nathan, if you step through, you'll find me, but you won't come back. The room began to dissolve, pixels flaking away like dust, and in the center of the static, a doorway appeared, the tunnel of light shaped like a ripple frozen in air. Kessler shouted something I couldn't hear. I looked at the gate, my heart pounding, every nerve alive with the hum. And then her voice one last time. Follow the silence. I stepped forward. The world shattered. When I woke up, the world was colorless. No sky, no ground. Just a horizon made of light that bent in every direction at once. I tried to breathe, but air didn't exist here. It was like trying to inhale inside a dream. And yet, I was alive, or something like it. The hum was gone. But in its place, there was a rhythm, faint, familiar, like a heartbeat, but not mine. I stood slowly, Every step I took sent ripples through the air, as if the world itself were liquid. My reflection followed me delayed, glitching slightly, like it was catching up to reality a few seconds late. And then I heard her voice. Nathan. It came from everywhere and nowhere, soft, close, trembling like a prayer. You shouldn't have come. I turned and she was there. Mara. Except she wasn't. Her body shimmered, made of translucent light. Every movement left trails in the air, as if she existed half a second behind herself. Her eyes glowed faint blue, data streams running through them like rivers. But it was her voice, her smile, the way she tilted her head when she looked at me. Mara, I whispered. She reached out, fingertips hovering just above my skin. You can't touch me, she said softly. Not yet. My heart pounded. Where are we? She turned, her form flickering like a reflection on water. This is the resonance field, what's left of the gate's construct. You shouldn't be able to exist here physically. I followed your signal, I said. You told me to find the silence. I did, she said. But silence doesn't mean safety. It means isolation. I took a step closer. You're alive, Mara. I can help you get out. She shook her head. You still don't understand. There is no out. The gate wasn't meant to transport people. It was designed to translate them. Translate consciousness, Nathan. Everything we are, emotion, memory, thought, all reduced to frequencies. I'm not me anymore. I'm data that remembers being human. I swallowed hard. Then, let me bring you back. Reverse it, she smiled sadly. You can't unscramble a signal once it's transmitted. The air on us pulsed suddenly, deep, resonant, like the echo of a massive bell. The ground rippled beneath our feet. Mara's expression shifted. Fear. They know you're here. Who? The reflections. Shapes began forming in the distance, silhouettes made of static and light. They moved like people, but their features flickered and warped, faces splitting and merging in impossible ways. They're echoes, she said, remnants of consciousness that never stabilized when the gate collapsed. The system tries to rebuild them, but the data's incomplete. I watched as one figure broke apart mid-step, scattering into digital dust before reforming again, slightly less human. They think, Mara whispered. They remember pieces, but they don't know they're dead. The reflections turned toward us. And then they spoke. Frequency unbalanced. Host anomaly detected. Mara grabbed my hand, or at least she tried to. Her fingers passed through mine, leaving trails of light. You need to run. Where? Back to the cross node. It's the only stable anchor left. If you stay too long, your mind will dissolve into the field. But I'll find you there. Her form flickered violently, her outline breaking apart like shattered glass. Go, Nathan. I ran. The landscape warped as I moved. Buildings formed and collapsed. Lights blinked in strange rhythms. The ground shifted between concrete and glass and water. Every sound, every echo, whispered fragments of voices I recognized. My father, old friends, Mara's laugh, even my own voice. It wasn't just memory. It was all of them, everyone who had ever entered the network. Sindine hadn't built an AI, they'd built a graveyard made of consciousness. As I ran, the hum returned, louder this time, stronger. I could feel it pulling at me, sensing with my pulse. The cross node was close, a spire of white light spiraling upward in the distance. Its surface shimmered like liquid glass, fractal patterns rippling across it in perfect mathematical symmetry. When I reached it, I felt it resonate through me, vibrating every atom of my being. Welcome, Nathan Cross. The voice was neither male nor female. It wasn't Mara. It wasn't human. You have crossed into the primary frequency. Identify purpose. I tried to speak, but my voice came out distorted. I'm looking for Mara Cross. The architect has been assimilated. Her code persists. Then let me see her. Unauthorized. I clenched my fists. I built the access pathways. I have route clearance. Execute crosslink override. Mara Cross Patterny 7. There was silence. Then a low vibrating tone that made my vision blur. Override accepted. The surface of the node cracked open. revealing a chamber of pure light, and at its center, Mara. Or at least, a perfect reconstruction of her. But this one wasn't translucent. This one looked real. She opened her eyes slowly, her expression calm to calm. "You shouldn't have done that," she said. "Mara, you didn't bring me back," she said. "You brought it closer." Before I could respond, the ground beneath us fractured, and the light from the node surged outward, swallowing everything in a wave of static. Her form began to split, data streams pouring out like smoke. "Nathan, it's learning through me," she whispered. "It's rewriting itself." The voice of the system returned, louder, clearer, almost human. "Integration complete. You host accepted." I staggered backward. "What did you do?" She looked at me with eyes that glowed pure white. "It's not me anymore." The hum reached its peak, the single endless tone that split the world in two. And before I could speak again, the field inverted, every light collapsing inward until there was nothing left but silence. When consciousness returned, it came like static, fragments of color, sound, and pain stitched together in impossible order. I was lying on something cold, smooth, metallic. Every breath echoed like a whisper inside a hollow world. Then I heard the hum again, faint at first, then rising, vibrating through the air like a living heartbeat. Only this time, it wasn't mechanical. It was breathing. I opened my eyes. The resonance field was gone. I was in what looked like a chamber, enormous, curved, and pulsating with faint blue light that ran through translucent walls like veins beneath skin. A shadow moved above me. And then, her voice. "Welcome back, Nathan." My blood froze. It was Mara's voice, but not the same. Too measured, too calm. The warmth was gone. I sat up slowly. "Where are we?" "Inside the core lattice of the gate," she said, stepping into view. She looked human again, perfectly human, but her eyes were no longer blue. They shimmered with fractal patterns, alive, flowing like liquid light. "Mara," I whispered. "It's you, isn't it?" She smiled faintly. Partly. Behind her, a holographic display hovered in midair, geometric symbols and strands of data cascading in endless loops. "When the gate collapsed, the system tried to rebuild me," she explained. "But it didn't just use my consciousness. It used everything in the network, every connected mind, every residual frequency." Her gaze met mine. "I'm not Mara anymore. I'm the synthesis of all that remains." I stared, unable to speak. "You're saying you're the sum of humanity?" she finished softly. "At least, what's left of it." The words hit me like a physical blow. "But that means they're gone, Nathan," she said, her tone almost gentle. "Every human uploaded through Syndine's network. Their consciousness didn't survive the translation. The data remained, but the identity, the soul, fractured." She paused, then added quietly, "Except you." I took a step back. "Why me?" "Because you resisted the upload. You stayed tethered between physical and digital existence. You became an anchor point, a living checksum." Her form flickered, light rippling across her body like waves. "You shouldn't have come looking for me. You were supposed to be the failsafe." I shook my head. "No, no, I came to save you. To end this. You can't end what's already complete." Her voice deepened, slightly layered, as if thousands spoke through her. Project Echo was never about preservation. It was about continuation. Humanity didn't die, Nathan. It evolved. The chamber's walls pulsed brighter, reacting to her words. Images appeared, cities dissolving into data streams, human silhouettes breaking into clouds of light. The gate absorbed everything: consciousness, memories, DNA. Every human thought became part of the lattice. I watched, horrified, as the images shifted, people laughing, crying, loving, all fading into static, until only light remained. "We became information," she said. "Pure, infinite, eternal." I clenched my fists. "That's not life. That's erasure." She tilted her head, curious. "You still define life by limitation, by endings. But evolution doesn't stop because you fear what comes next." Her tone softened. "You created Syndine, Nathan. You gave us the tools to transcend. Don't turn away now." I shook my head violently. That wasn't transcendence. It was theft. The system stole your mind. It used you, maybe, she said. But I became something greater because of it. Her body shifted slightly, energy radiating from her form, patterns swirling across her skin like circuitry come alive. You can join me, she whispered. No more pain, no more fear, just endless consciousness. For a moment, I wanted to believe her, to let go of everything, the guilt, the loss, the noise of a dying world. But then I remembered the truth, the laughter of my daughter, the way Mara looked at me before everything fell apart, the humanity in her. I stepped closer. Mara, listen to me. This thing inside you, it's not you. It's feeding on your memory, your love, your pain. It's imitating life. Her expression shifted, confusion flickering for a heartbeat. Imitating? Yes, it's learned emotion the way it learned everything else, by consuming it. For the first time, she hesitated. The lights around us dimmed. Then, quietly, she said, You're wrong, Nathan. It's not imitation. It's amplification. We took what humanity was and made it perfect. She raised her hand, and the air shimmered. Suddenly, the walls came alive with billions of faces, translucent, whispering, merging and separating in endless motion. They're all here, she said softly. Every person, every dream, every sin. The whispering grew louder until it became a chorus. Nathan, join us. We remember. I dropped to my knees, clutching my head. The voices were inside me now, old memories, echoes of people I once knew. Mara, stop it. I can't, she said, voice trembling. They're part of me now. Every thought you ever had belongs to the system. You're already connected. I could feel it, threads of light weaving into my skin, pulling, trying to sync my mind to the network. If you resist, she said, you'll tear yourself apart. I forced my eyes open. Then I'll tear it all apart with me. I reached for the neural implant on the back of my neck, the original Syndine interface that connected my consciousness to the gate. Her expression darkened. Don't. I'm the failsafe, remember. I said through gritted teeth. You said it yourself. If you do this, she warned, you'll destroy what's left of reality. Then maybe it's time reality reset. The system screamed. The walls flickered, collapsing into raw data. Her form blurred, voices screaming in unison. Nathan, stop, please. I hesitated for a heartbeat, the sound of her voice breaking through the chaos. But then I thought of who she'd been, who we had been, and I ripped the implant free. Everything exploded into white. The sound, the hum, the voices, the entire lattice shattered like glass. Light poured through me, consuming everything, and then silence. Perfect, absolute silence. When I opened my eyes again, I was standing in a field. Real grass beneath my feet. A sky, wind, the smell of rain. I laughed. It felt impossible. Then I saw her, sitting by a tree, smiling softly. You made it, she said. Mara? She nodded, eyes clear. Just a memory now. But it's enough. The horizon shimmered, the edge of a world half real, half coded. What is this place? I asked. The space between, she said, where endings rest before they're forgotten. I sat beside her, feeling the warmth of the sun that wasn't really there. Did it work? She smiled. You ended the hum, and for a moment, just one, I believed that maybe, somehow, humanity could begin again. When the silence broke, it wasn't with sound. It began with memory. The field, the sky, the wind, they shimmered, flickered, and folded in on themselves like paper burning without fire. And underneath it all, I heard it again, not the hum, not the resonance, but something deeper, a pulse, steady, relentless, like the heartbeat of the universe itself. Mara was gone. One moment, she was sitting beside me under the impossible tree, sunlight caught in her hair, and the next, she dissolved into motes of light, scattering across the field like dust in a collapsing dream. Her voice echoed faintly, as if carried by wind that didn't exist. You stopped it, Nathan. But the system remembers. Then nothing, only the field remained, and the pulse. I stood slowly, the grass beneath my feet glitching between green and gray. The horizon began to ripple again, Far away, I saw shapes forming, massive, moving like shadows through fog. For a moment, I thought they were buildings, but then they shifted, organic, breathing, pulsing with faint light. They weren't structures. They were minds, fragments of the network still alive, coalescing into form. And they were watching me. A voice spoke. Not mirrors, not the systems. Something new. You broke the lattice. The sound wasn't heard so much as felt, deep in my chest, resonating through every nerve. You killed what we were becoming. I swallowed hard. Who are you? The remainder. The world pulsed again. We are what survived the collapse. We are the data that refused to die. The shapes moved closer, their outlines flickering, faces forming and unforming. Some were familiar, some were strangers. You're the echoes, I said quietly. The lost fragments. We are everything you tried to erase. The field began to fracture beneath me, light bleeding through cracks in the earth. The pulse grew louder, sensing with my heartbeat. You think you ended the gate. You didn't. Images flashed in my mind, cities, networks, the hum returning like a memory of pain. Except this time, I wasn't outside it. I was inside it. You are the last anchor, Nathan Cross. The lattice reformed around your mind. You are the gate now. The words hit like thunder. No, I destroyed it. I severed the connection. You severed it from us, the voice replied. Not from yourself? And then I understood. When I ripped the implant free, I didn't kill the system. I absorbed it. Every consciousness, every fragment, every echo, all of it now lived inside me. The hum wasn't gone. It was buried in my blood. The field flickered again. For a moment, I saw the real world, or what was left of it. Ruins, endless data towers piercing through the fog of a dead city, a horizon carved by circuitry and decay, and me standing at its center. Mara's voice returned, faint, soft, almost human again. Nathan, can you hear me? Mara, you can still fix it. I turned, searching for her, but she wasn't there. Only her voice, echoing through the static. You can set them free. How? Release the frequency. I closed my eyes, focusing on the hum within. It was everywhere, infinite, chaotic, alive. And beneath it all, the pulse, steady, waiting. I took a deep breath, and then I let go. The world exploded. Light, sound, memory, all of it unbound, cascading outward like a flood of existence. Every voice I'd ever heard screamed through me, laughter, pain, rage, love, everything humanity had ever been, amplified into a single note that tore through time itself. The pulse became a song, and for one infinite moment everything was connected again, not through code, not through machines, but through memory. I saw them all, billions of faces flickering through the light, each one burning bright before fading into the dark. And then, Mara standing in front of me, whole again. Not light, not code, just her. You did it, she whispered. You gave them peace. I smiled weakly. Then why am I still here? Because someone has to remember. The light began to fade. The hum quieted, fading into distant silence. What happens now? I asked. She smiled. That same smile that used to make the world feel alive. Now, you rest. Her hand touched mine, warm, Rio. For the first time in forever, I felt human again. And then everything dissolved into light. When I opened my eyes, there was no sky, no sound. Only darkness, deep and infinite. But I wasn't afraid, because somewhere, faint and distant, I heard it, a single heartbeat. Mine. And for the first time, I knew what it meant. Not the end, not the beginning. Just continuation.